It's 8 o'clock.
Good morning. This is Northern Light for Wednesday, March 20th. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Todd Moe.
We wrap up our series on issues in prisons today with a conversation with a mother whose son is imprisoned here in the North Country. She says it's expensive to come up and the administration can cancel the visit at the last minute, but
once you get in there, it's really nice. It's nice, and the CEOs make you comfortable. You get to take a picture with your loved one. They get to, you get to hug them, which is so very important. They don't turn around and say, okay, enough is enough, break it up. They don't do any of that.
The NCPR news team is launching a year-long series on climate change in the North Country. News director David Samerstein joins us with the details.
Also, several states in the country are putting restrictions on birth control. In response, New York is allowing pharmacies to dispense 3 kinds of birth control to anyone.
The way it works if you're out of state is you walk into a New York State pharmacy, show them your insurance card, and just say to the pharmacist, hey, I'm here to see what I can do as far as getting contraception. You're welcome like everyone else.
And we talk with Saranac Lake artist Brittany Sternberg about her plans to create a new outdoor mural with the help of other community artists and organizations.
All that's coming up on Northern Light. Stick with us.
Broadcast of Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio is supported by Mountain Orthotic and Prosthetic Services, a full-service practice committed to providing care for patients of all ages with offices in Lake Placid, Plattsburgh, and Malone. Details and referrals at mountainonp.com. And Blue Seed Studios, a multidisciplinary arts center featuring classes for adults and youth, concerts, art exhibits, and more. BLUseedstudios.org.
This is Northern Light. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Todd Moe. There are about 8,000 people in prison in the North Country. Many of those people are serving years or decades-long sentences. Many of them have family that live hours away, parents and partners and children that have to travel long distances to come visit. We finish our mini-series on prisons this week with the perspective of a mother whose son is serving a 16-year sentence in the federal prison in Raybrook. She spoke with our Adirondack reporter Emily Russell about all the complications and expenses that come with visiting her son in prison. She asked that we not use her name to protect her and her son's privacy. Here's their conversation.
So in order to come here for a visit, you have to save for weeks. I save $5 and change because you can only walk in there for the vending machines, which is very expensive. Then you got to have the gas, which is 5.5 hours without the traffic. To come up here, the hotels are very, very expensive. The cheapest hotel you can find up here is $159 overnight. There's a 2-day minimum stay. And you got to pay for cleaning. So you're talking $450 for the hotel. It costs me about $800 round trip to come up here. And then they tell you once you're up here, they don't even tell you early. Last night was 5:40. I got a call saying that, guess what? They just made an announcement, visits canceled tomorrow. So,
how often has it been that you've come up here or planned a visit and then that's gotten canceled or impacted by any kind of lockdown at the facility?
So far, it's been 5 times since last February. 5 times we've come up and they have canceled visits on us after being here. Sometimes it's you get to go in there Saturday and they cancel Sunday. That's a lot of times they do that. But you're still stuck paying for the 2-day hotel.
What is it like? Can you just describe what it's like when you go in there and you actually get to see him? What is that experience like?
At 9:45, they do a prison head count. So if you don't make it in the doors by then, you have to come back at 11:30 and wait online all over again. Once you get in there, it's really nice. It's nice, and the CEOs make you comfortable. You get to take a picture with your loved one. They get to, you get to hug them, which is so very important. They don't turn around and say, okay, enough is enough, break it up. They don't do any of that.
How important are these visits to you and then to your son?
It's so important. It's important that in my outlook, that he's not forgotten. I come once a month. And if I don't come once a month, he always tells me it's okay, I understand. But you can tell that he really misses the visits. For them, a visit is super important. It gets them to see the outsiders. We care that they're not forgotten. We get them caught up on life in general instead of just being frozen in time. For me, I think prison is a frozen in time. And if I come visit, I catch them up on the family. What's going on the outside? What has changed? What came out new? TV and pictures are important to keep them updated, to see the growth of others. I bring my grandkids up here all the time, and they're great inside. They really are great with kids. The kids run around. They never give you a hard time, the COs. They're really wonderful. The visits are wonderful. They have a kid room, and it is nice. The visits are really nice. They have it set up very nice for the visits.
How is your son doing?
He's doing great. My son has a good head on his shoulders, and he was always the very laid-back one. So if it had been anybody, it was him that could survive it. He does okay. With the lockdowns are hard. I can only imagine. I could not stay in a room looking at a wall. And especially, I try to give my son as much as I can, tablets, commissary. So when this does happen, he has something. But some of the other guys don't have that liberty, for family to do something like that. But my son goes with the flow. He's okay. It hurts him. And he tells me that it's a lot of mind game, that you have to keep your head straight.
As a mother, what is it like for you seeing your son and hearing from him, knowing, a little bit of what he's going through these last few years and knowing what's ahead of him with, more years to come?
It is definitely heart-wrenching to see a loved one, especially a son, and knowing his background of a good, non-violent, it was just drugs. And they need to set something else up than prison. Maybe a drug prison or something. But to throw the book at these people who have this addiction is horrible. And it's heart-wrecking to know that my son is going to come out so later in life and not have a family, or to start a family. How do you start that? You got to find somebody to love. They're going to come out a totally different person no matter how strong your head is. And then they have to put you in a year of a halfway house. You'd be better off under house arrest. What kind of life is he going to have? And I say to myself, am I going to be dead? Am I going to ever, if he does meet somebody and get a house and a family, am I going to be able to meet those grandchildren? Because I'm going to be in my 70s, and I'm young. So it's just heart-wrenching that his life is being wasted. And I know he did wrong. He made that decision. I'm not saying that, but I think the harsh sentence was ridiculous. And to see him go through something like that is just, plays mind games. I cry. I try not to because I keep my head on strong, because if he sees me hurt, he's going to hurt.
That was the mother of a man who is serving a 16-year sentence in federal prison in the Adirondacks. She spoke with our reporter, Emily Russell. Yesterday, Governor Kathy Hochul signed a new standing order that will allow all pharmacies in New York to dispense birth control medications to anyone who wants one. Karen DeWitt reports.
Governor Hochul says it's another step to protect women's reproductive rights after the U.S. Supreme Court's Dobbs decision in 2022 that struck down the landmark abortion rights decision Roe v. Wade. Hochul says Dobbs emboldened some on the political right to try to limit medication abortions and in vitro fertilization. While birth control medicines remain legal in the U.S., some states are placing restrictions on obtaining the pills or contraceptive devices. The governor says in New York, there will be full access.
Starting today, pharmacies are now allowed to dispense 3 different types of contraception medication. And any woman can walk into a participating pharmacy and choose the birth control method that best suits her needs. And this will dramatically increase access to this for women, particularly at a time when women are feeling discouraged and not listened to and powerless.
State Health Commissioner Jim McDonald says 3 methods of contraception will be available: the oral hormonal pill, conventionally known as the birth control pill, a hormonal vaginal ring, and a hormonal contraceptive patch. McDonald says the order signed by the governor essentially gives the health commissioner the power to issue one prescription that can be accessed by anyone.
Basically, what we've done today by me signing this order is if you come to New York and you want to have contraception, I've issued a prescription for you. For this role, I've become your doctor as the state's physician.
He says the pharmacists will do a risk assessment to help the person decide which method is best for them. All the prescriptions will be covered by insurance. People from other states can get the birth control medicines and devices too, as long as they are physically in a pharmacy in New York, McDonald says.
The way it works if you're out of state is you walk into a New York State pharmacy, show them your insurance card, and just say to the pharmacist, hey, I'm here to see what I can do as far as getting contraception. You're welcome like everyone else.
He says everyone who asks can get a year's worth of the medication. The law was supposed to go into effect in January, but Hochul says the state education department needed more time to finalize the regulations, and they completed those only a few days ago. The major chain pharmacies and many independent drugstores are expected to participate. In Albany, I'm Karen DeWitt for the New York Public News Network.
An affordable housing nonprofit in Watertown is receiving millions from the state for a new 4-story building. The Watertown Daily Times reports that the state is granting neighbors of Watertown more than $13 million. That'll go towards building a 63-unit apartment building on vacant land at Main Avenue and Mill Street. Neighbors of Watertown and its partners bought the site last year. It's one of 3 affordable housing sites proposed in the city. The building will include 31 units and support services for unhoused people who are experiencing mental health and substance use disorders. The funds come from Governor Hochul's $25 billion affordable housing plan. Her goal is to create or preserve 100,000 affordable homes, with a portion of it focusing on homes and services for vulnerable populations.
Clarkson University forward Dominique Petrie netted the winning goal after 4 rounds of overtime Saturday to send the women's hockey team to the NCAA Frozen Four.
Towards the goal, save a rebound, and they score! Dominique Petrie!
The Golden Knights defeated the University of Minnesota women's team 3-2. Head coach Matt DeRocher says this team is a special one. They treat each other like family, communicate, and come in every day willing to work towards their goals.
They've been great all year. They've put in a lot of hard work, and they've definitely earned it, and they definitely deserve it. So I'm just really excited for the players and the staff for all the hard work and dedication they've put in, that it's paying off a little bit.
This is the 6th time that the Golden Knights have been to the Frozen Four, and they've won the national title 3 times, most recently in 2018. Clarkson faces the Ohio State University in the semifinal round on Friday at 4 o'clock in Durham, New Hampshire. DeRocher says the team needs to keep working together to make it past the Buckeyes.
A little bit is just focusing on ourselves and what we do well and what our strengths are. It's definitely going to take an entire group effort, that's for sure. And that's one thing that we've done all season long. I think if we just kind of stick together and if we can bring our best hockey, I think we have an opportunity to win.
Clarkson is hosting a send-off for the team today at 11 a.m. at the Cheal Campus Center.
3 high school basketball teams in the North Country are celebrating their victories from the state basketball tournament. The Hammond girls basketball team won its 2nd straight state championship. They beat Northville 54-34 in the Class D final. Glens Falls boys basketball team finished off their undefeated season with a Class A state championship. They came out on top over Wayne 50-37. The North Warren boys basketball team took home the trophy over Sackett's Harbor in the Class D state final. They eked out a victory 68-66.
And the city of Watertown has launched an interactive map for April's total solar eclipse. The North Country is expected to be inundated with visitors looking to see when the moon completely blocks out the sun on April 8th. Watertown is right in the middle of the path of totality. The city is hosting its celebration at Thompson Park. City officials say the interactive map will show all road closures starting at 6 a.m. on the day of the eclipse. Since no parking will be allowed in the park's boundaries that day, the city will have a free bus route starting at 10 a.m. The map will also have updated bus times, walking routes, and bathrooms. Keep up with news from NCPR at our website, ncpr.org.
You're listening to Northern Light right here on North Country Public Radio. It's 8:15. Good morning. I'm Todd Moe.
And I'm Monica Sandreski. Coming up, Saranac Lake is getting a new mural. We'll talk with the artist behind the Welcoming and Belonging mural at ADK Art Rise in just a few minutes here on Northern Light.
Weather Service says a winter storm warning remains in effect through 8 o'clock tonight for Lewis and Oswego counties. Blowing and drifting snow all along eastern Lake Ontario today and tonight. Elsewhere, snow showers and highs this afternoon in the 30s. Winds out of the southwest. Colder tonight, lows in the teens, and a high near 30 tomorrow. Northern Light is supported by North Country Children's Museum, Potsdam, with hands-on and minds-on exhibits and programs for children 12 and under and their families. Open Wednesday to Sunday, 10 to 5, northcountrychildrensmuseum.org. And St. Lawrence Nurseries, Potsdam, accepting orders now through April 12th for cold hardy fruit and nut trees. Details at slngrow.com. It's music by Eddie Lawrence out of Moira.
Today is the first day of spring, and it's a special day for us here in the NCPR newsroom because we're launching a new year-long series about climate change in the North Country. David Summerstein, our news director, is here to talk with me about it. Happy spring, David.
Happy spring, Monica. It's great to be here. And it's no accident that we're getting started on the first day of spring. Yeah. So we wanted to do a series about climate change. You know, we've covered floods, powerful storms. Remember last summer, the crazy smoke in the air from the fires in Canada. We've covered issues, news, science around climate change. But we wanted to go deeper and to give context to these issues. And we thought that we should sync it to the natural seasons, starting with spring, the first day of spring.
Well, and that's one thing that's special about living in the North Country is that so many of us are in tune with the natural world, whether it's farming or gardening, hiking, snow plowing, mowing lawns. We're outdoors a lot of the time, and unlike a lot of people in cities. And so we have been seeing the climate change in real time. Yeah,
so we wanted to enlist our audience to help us document exactly what's been changing, season by season. How do we know and what we're doing about it? So we want to hear about the little things, like what you notice in your backyard, in your garden, on your favorite walk, when your pond freezes or thaws, when you start or stop mowing your lawn, new birds you see. And we also want to hear your concerns and worries and hopes about climate change.
And so we've set up a new survey for people to talk to us about climate change. This is a chance for you to tell us what questions you have, what kind of stories we should do, what we should be paying attention to. You can find that survey at ncpr.org. ncpr.org/climate survey. It's also right at the top of our homepage, ncpr.org.
And we're also having this conversation with the NCPR texting club. And if you want to be a part of it that way, it's really simple. Just text the word climate to 315-978-6277. Now, Monica, in addition to all of these little things and just getting people's individual observations, we do also need to and must talk about the science and talk to researchers, scientists, also people who are managing their businesses, who have to make changes. Yeah. Farming is a huge one. We spoke with Kitty O'Neill. She's an agronomist with Cornell Cooperative Extension. It's her job to help farmers adapt to climate change. And she says the farming community is already pretty in tune to what's changing.
So overall, we'll have more rain, but it'll be more concentrated in the spring and the fall. And the summers could potentially be dry. And we've seen that already.
And she's already helping farmers adapt to those changes. So she has a group of small dairy farms from the North Country to Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and they're working on ways to adapt, ways to be more efficient, more sustainable. So we really hope that this series will focus on solutions, on adaptation, not just on problems, although there are a lot of
problems. And it can get depressing and scary talking about all of those problems with climate change, that it's already bringing ways it could get worse. We don't want to shy away from those issues. We're interested in hearing from people about how they're handling those fears, how they're looking to the future, and yet how they adapt and look for solutions, making their lives more sustainable too.
And I suspect that this series will evolve over the course of the year. You know, we've done award-winning series on the North Country's biggest issues over the years: healthcare, housing, childcare, COVID, and climate change feels even bigger. And it really affects everyone all year round. And that's why we really need so much feedback from our listeners and readers all through this series. And so this new survey that's just out today is the first step. Help us get started, figure out what's most important to begin our reporting. This really kind of frames the whole series. So go to ncpr.org/climate survey to fill out that survey. It's also right there in the middle of the top of our homepage. Check it out, ncpr.org/climate survey.
You can also share your thoughts through our texting club. Text the word climate to 315-978-6277. That's climate to 315-978-6277. David, thanks so much for coming on this morning.
Thanks a lot, Monica.
You're listening to Northern Lights here on North Country Public Radio. I'm Todd Moe.
And I'm Monica Sandreski. Coming up in just a minute, a Saranac Lake artist shares her plans for a new mural that celebrates diversity and community. Then stick around after the show for Bird Note. We'll hear one person's story about becoming a wildlife biologist. That's just ahead at 8:42. But first, Todd has a look at the weather for us.
Lowville, Oswego, those communities in Lewis County and Oswego counties, they're under a winter storm warning until 8 o'clock tonight with additional snow accumulations 3 to 6 inches, wind gusts as high as 45 miles per hour. Again, Lewis and Oswego counties under a winter storm warning until 8 o'clock tonight. The rest of the region, the Weather Service says snow showers today, and wind gusts out of the southwest up to 20, 30 miles per hour times today and tonight. Temperatures falling into the teens overnight tonight with still some light snow showers. And then tomorrow, about a 50-50 chance of snow showers. Colder, highs in the 20s on Thursday. Partly cloudy skies Friday, and then probably some mixed precipitation through the weekend with highs in the 20s and 30s on Saturday and Sunday.
Saranac Lake is getting new murals this year. One of them is being led by artist and part owner of ADK Rise, Brittany Sternberg. She's been awarded 2 grants to create a mural with help and input from community artists and organizations. The theme of the mural, which will be installed on the exterior wall of ADK Art Rise facing the parking lot, will be called Welcoming and Belonging.
Brittany Sternberg says she's looking for more artists and community organizations who would like to contribute design ideas or actually create, sculpt, paint, collage, tile, a mural panel.
What I'm doing is I'm reaching out to community members and to artists, looking for design input from all types of walks of life, so that when anybody looks at this mural, they can find something joyful in it, something that makes them feel welcome to our area or makes them feel like they belong. And my hope is that if someone feels like they don't have those things, I want to encourage them to get involved, to find their group.
And the idea here is you're kind of putting together, for lack of a better word, kind of like a patchwork quilt of these ideas?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic way to look at it. Talking aloud to different community members. I happened to run into these 2 women who were Akwesasne, and they suggested that it'd be really nice to see, even though I'm trying to get different organizations to have input, they said it'd be really nice to see some kind of woven pattern throughout the whole mural to signify that we are woven together, we are like a community. So I was working on that, trying to find basket weave designs, and ultimately I wanted to make sure that the mural was also dynamic and colorful, and the pattern I sort of landed on is almost like a geometric quilted pattern.
Timeline-wise, Brittany, what do you see getting started on this in the next couple of months, like this summer, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so I've been kind of quietly talking to different groups about it, and like I said, the idea has been kind of shaping as I had these conversations with different organizations. So I have been working on it. The panels are sanded, they're primed, they're ready to go out to artists in the community. And our first workshop day is actually going to be at Blue Seed on Saturday, March 30th from 1 to 5. Community members are welcome to come check it out and talk to us and input into the designs. But the artists and the organizations who have already committed to a panel will hopefully be there working on their pieces with some of the materials that I have already procured for them.
Yeah. And you've got kind of a broad range of outreach here in terms of arts organizations, everything from visual artists to Pendragon Theater and, the performing arts and the Adirondack Diversity Initiative, all those groups.
Yeah, so the funding is coming from 2 separate sort of organizations or funnels right now. One of those is the National Endowment of the Arts through the Our Town Blue Pen Artist in Residency collaboration. So that was a collaboration between Blue Seed Studios and Pendragon Theater, where they got this funding for local artists and for artists out of the area to come in and do work. So that was one of the sources of funding. The other was the statewide community regrants opportunity provided by the Adirondack Lakes Center for the Arts. And that piece is helping me fund a lot of the material costs for this mural.
Okay, so welcoming and belonging, you've got the theme, you've got kind of the idea for the concept, at least, for what it's going to look like. Big mural, outdoor mural in downtown Saranac Lake. What are you asking folks to do? What help do you need? What sort of outreach is going on in terms of getting people involved?
I'm hoping with this press release and with some of the social media that I have done that I can draw in some more organizations. Right now, I would say I have about 15 artists and organizations who have committed to doing one piece of the mural. So that's a piece that's 12 inches by 24 inches. Mm-hmm. So while I have been using sort of the connections I have, I'm on the Saranac Lake Area Chamber of Commerce Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee. So I've been trying to reach out to some of the contacts I have there, but I'm hoping that some more contacts that I don't even know about will come to me with interest in designing one of these panels, and hopefully we can expand to 32 panels or even more, depending on how much interest there is.
Saranac Lake is such a great community for this sort of community art idea, Brittany. I mean, there are other murals in town. There are other outdoor works of art.
Yes, in fact, so some of my inspiration for wanting to proceed with this, like, this is a crazy idea, it's just a tiny little kernel, and the reason I keep pushing at it, keep trying, is that I was part of the mural making that happened in Saranac Lake where, I'm not even sure, we had some people come in and they set up these tiles and kids helped smash the tiles and then place them on the wall. And that mural is still in existence. It's across from Romano's in Saranac Lake. And as a child, I remember helping to create that mural. And I want to give that opportunity to youths in our area and bring in different youth groups that can help us create